The rain came down in sheets, cold and merciless, drumming against the pavement of the deserted street. At the lonely bus stop, a young nurse clutched her baby tighter to her chest, trying to shield the child from the storm with nothing but a thin, damp coat. Her hands trembled, not only from the freezing air but from exhaustion and fear. The bus was late, maybe not coming at all, and she had nowhere else to go. Cars rushed by without slowing, their headlights slicing through the night, but none of them stopped. Then, through the curtain of rain, a sleek black car pulled to a halt. Its engine purred with quiet power, a sound out of place in such a forgotten corner of the city. The driver's door opened, and a man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, with an umbrella shielding him from the downpour. His suit was immaculate, but his eyes told another story. Eyes of a man who had seen too much loneliness, eyes that carried a quiet weight. For a moment, the nurse froze, clutching her baby closer, unsure whether to trust a stranger. But he didn't speak right away. Instead, he looked at the shivering bundle in her arms, then at her pale, trembling face. Something softened in his expression, something that even he hadn't felt in years. Slowly, he stepped forward, extending the umbrella over both of them, shielding mother and child from the relentless rain. The silence between them was broken only by the baby's soft whimper. The man's voice finally cut through the storm, low, steady, but with a gentleness that surprised her. "Come with me," he said. No explanation, no hesitation. Just an offer, simple yet impossible to refuse. In that moment, under the pouring rain, two lonely worlds collided, and fate quietly began to write its story. The mansion doors opened with a slow, heavy creak, and she stepped inside hesitantly, clutching her baby as if he were her shield. Warmth spread from the golden lights overhead, so different from the biting chill of the storm outside. The vast marble floor gleamed beneath her feet, and elegant paintings lined the walls, yet the silence that filled the place made it feel more like a museum than a home. Every corner seemed to whisper of emptiness. She adjusted her baby's blanket and glanced nervously at the man who had brought her here. He didn't speak, only loosened his tie and handed his umbrella to a waiting maid before walking toward the fireplace, his expression unreadable. She sank carefully onto the edge of a velvet sofa, her damp clothes leaving faint marks on the fabric. Her baby stirred but quickly settled, soothed by the warmth of the room. She brushed the child's tiny fingers, whispering comfort, her own heart thundering with uncertainty. Why had this stranger, this powerful-looking man, stopped for her? What did he want? Her mind spun with questions, yet his presence, quiet, commanding, seemed to steady her more than frighten her. Then came the sound of light footsteps. A little girl, no older than 7, rushed into the room, her laughter echoing like sunlight breaking through clouds. She had the same sharp eyes as the man, but hers shone with an innocence untouched by loneliness. She stopped abruptly when she saw the nurse, her gaze darting from the baby to the woman's face. "Daddy," she said brightly, turning to the man, "is this the girlfriend you ordered for me?" The words spilled out with such innocent certainty that the nurse felt her cheeks burn. She looked down, embarrassed, but the girl only inched closer, her voice softening with a hope too pure to ignore. "Can she start forever?" The days that followed unfolded like a quiet miracle. What had once been a mansion of silence began to stir with sounds it had long forgotten, soft laughter, gentle lullabies, and the patter of small feet chasing joy. The nurse moved carefully at first, always uncertain if she truly belonged. Yet, each morning she found herself drawn deeper into the rhythm of the household. She prepared simple meals in the grand kitchen, filling the air with the smell of fresh bread and warm soup. The little girl would sit at the counter, legs swinging, chattering about school and dreams while the nurse listened, smiling softly, her baby cradled close in a sling. The man watched these moments from a distance. At first, he remained stoic, his presence like a shadow at the edges of their happiness. But something within him began to shift. He would catch himself pausing outside the doorway, listening to the sound of his daughter's laughter blending with the nurse's voice. At night, when he returned from long hours at the office, he no longer found emptiness waiting for him. He found warmth, light, and the scent of home. One evening, as rain once again tapped gently against the windows, the nurse sat with the girl, helping her trace words in a storybook. The little one leaned into her side, eyes heavy with sleep, while the baby dozed peacefully in her lap. The man stood watching, his heart tightening in a way he hadn't felt in years. Quietly, he crossed the room and sat beside them, his hand brushing against hers. She looked up, startled, but he didn't withdraw. Instead, his daughter stirred awake just enough to wrap her small arms around them both. In that fragile, perfect moment, the walls of the mansion seemed to breathe again. The rain cleared, leaving only warmth. What began as shelter had become something neither of them had dared to hope for: home, love, and the promise of forever.